Hey, good morning, everybody. No, I was just saying we're not live. What? This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Uh, sorry I'm late. I fed the cats and then I had like 2 or 3 minutes to spare and I looked down at my phone and when I looked at the time again, it was 8 a.m. and I was standing in my living room and I was like, oh, wait, whoa, it's supposed to be live. And then I ran in and told my wife, like, I didn't feed the cats. And then she was like, well, go feed the cats. And I ran back in there and it was like, never mind. Morning, Bob. I probably look tired. That's because I stayed up last night and watched the Pacers get hoed by Scott Foster. Imagine you like this sign. Yeah, so let me show you guys this. So you know me, I'm long-winded as fuck. That's like a character trait. I don't know that it's a flaw. Huh, I never really thought about that. But anyway, so I'm going out to protest today. I'd rather be playing PoE, but I'm out here because fuck these fascists. And it says, remember what you did during this time, do during this time. Stand up to the racist, sexist, authoritarian bullshit. Do not bend the knee, kiss the ring, or lick boots. Join a union. I think it's a good sign, right? It's Path of Exile just launched a new season. Uh, it the servers were going down yesterday, so I know a lot of people are playing it. And then obviously I'm anticipating. Oh, I don't know if I showed y'all that thing. I don't know if this records and my lives get saved on Clapper, but here you can see it. I'd rather be playing PoE, but I'm out here because fuck these fascists. Makes a solid, relevant video game reference right away. I'd rather be playing PoE, but I'm out here because fuck these fascists. Hey, listen, I'm just letting you know, most of the people that are fascists don't even know what that is. So when they see it, they just their eyes gloss over and they're like, fascist. Racist? Sexist? What did author return? Author return? What is author return? He's got too many words on that shit. See, those are the kind of people that's not my audience. It's not my audience. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that you have to realize is how woefully unpopular this regime is. Let me explain. We've done this before, but I like to hop over this low bar every now and then just to be like, listen, I must spin the ball on my finger. So I just want to make sure hey Crystal, hey Danielle, hey Bob, Debs. So 90 days before the election, a social media firm does an audit of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's social media platforms. And they find out that 90% of their following is fake. I'm not religious. I don't. Here's my rules. for the room I'm in. I don't think there's God. I don't think there's a God. I think it's a ruse. But if you think there's a God, then I think they're all real. And if they're all real and all true and valid, right? Then I don't believe in any of them. They just all exist. So no, I don't want to join the Islamic State in the future. Questions I never thought I would get asked in my adult life. But yeah, a social media firm did an audit of Elon Musk and Donald Trump about 90 days before this past election and found that 90% of their following was fake. And so I just want to keep pointing this out. If you are on the internet arguing with someone and they are very pro-Trump, 90% chance that's a bot. I know. I know. I know it's wild. So when you see someone in the wild that's a Trump supporter, it should be shocking to you. Be, whoa, I didn't think they actually existed. And so I want to make sure that I point that out because there's a lot of people, and I fall victim of it too. I get fucking riled up easy too. Um, Gosh, there's just so much going on. Every day when we start this show, we listen to a little ditty called War. I'm gonna listen to it now. Where we look at the news and we talk about politics. Mm-mm-mm. I just want to point out how like hyper relevant it is that the beginning of my show plays an anti-war song, right? Zeke, one of the things that you've got to stop doing is legitimizing that term. I hate to say it, it's just true. Israel was made up, and recently. David Ben-Gurion, May 14th, 1948, the head of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. It is a Zionist imperialist movement. A a The objective is to further build the Israeli state by any means necessary. David Ben Gurion. Hmm. You get what I'm saying? Like when we say when I meet an Israeli, and it's like you've never met an Israeli, they don't exist. So think about this: 1948, inside the last 100 years. And hey, Zeke, I don't want you to think I was coming down on you. I want you to understand, like, hey, we got to be careful about legitimizing the Israeli state because that means that we're just accepting that this is just the way it's going to be. Okay? Crystal said she lives in an agricultural area where typically you'd see a bunch of Trump flags. and haven't seen any in the last few months. But when people say like, "Oh, I met an Israeli," no, like no, you didn't. And the people that you meet they are drunken, they are brainwashed, they're convinced. Have you ever heard someone like Michael Rappaport, for example, declare himself as a Jewish person, as an albino Jew, that he is one of the chosen ones? And I just can't bear the ego or the arrogance. Like it makes him insufferable. If there were a God, they would strike him down. What are you even talking about? For even calling yourself a chosen one by God. How dare you? How ignorant, how arrogant, right? And not worldly at all. You know, I may not be religious, but I was raised in the church. And while I don't think I think it's all a farce, to be honest with you. And I blame video games. To be honest with you, when I was right right around the same time I was confirmed in the church, I went and stayed with my aunt and uncle in Michigan for several days. I'm guessing my parents were having it out. And while I was there, I played this video game called Heretic. Um, just a first person, um, like a Doom, like it's sort of like a Doom-like game. Quake. Anyway, it's this game called Heretic. And I'm one of those people, once you learn the definition of a word, you're like, huh. And I think it's a important conversation to have. Like, what is the definition of of a heretic? A person holding an opinion at odds with what is generally accepted. Someone whose beliefs or actions contradict the established doctrines or principles of a particular religion, group, or institution. So, yes, I do fancy myself a heretic. Yeah, I think it's fucking crazy that I am. That I could walk into a room and say, I just want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing, and have to fist fight my way out of it. If you'd asked me if I thought I got really sick already of just of watching airstrikes in Iran, in Tehran. This makes me care less about, even less about the state of Israel. A preemptive attack. And keep in mind, think about founded in 1948, in 2025, launches a preemptive attack. A not even 100-year-old, created by the former head of the Jewish agency, yes, David Ben Gurion, an actual person that lived in this century, in this past century, fires. And again, what I think is happening, and it sounds crazy, but what I think is happening is the global elite, and I hate saying like, it makes me sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist, but all these rich people, they want that place to themselves. They want the Holy Land to themselves. They think if we can make it so all of our generational wealth goes to rebuild the Holy Land and make it turn it into fuck man, like uh probably a Donald Trump owned golf club and resort. And again, I've said the U.S. is looking for a partner in the Middle East, and a lot of the countries in the Middle East are constantly embroiled in conflict, partially because of fucking Israel and their funding of fucking terrorist activities all over the fucking Middle East as a means of destabilizing the countries around them. I want to keep in mind the Israeli regime is an imperialist regime. It's doing what it was designed to do. Do it's bent on expansion of the Israeli state. Much like the United States. Let's not sit here and talk about Israel as though we aren't an imperialist warmonger. Okay, that fueled and the thing about it is if you there's a GI Joe movie that encapsulates this situation that we're in. And see what happened was uh, George Bush got us into a fucking war in the Middle East. And it cost us thousands of fucking young people's lives and millions of Middle Eastern people's lives in Iraq and Afghanistan and elsewhere, worldwide, right? And what ended up happening was all the defensive contractors in the United States blew up. And blew up is a crazy word to use, but they grew exponentially because there's a need for advanced fighter jets. Other countries are seeing what we're capable of and they're building to match or beat it, right? They built a whole movie around this, around fifth generation fighter jets, Top Gun Maverick. It showed you how important it is to be maneuverable, maneuverability, escapability, being able to sort of defy gravity, right? Is what we were looking at fifth gen fighters. And again, we talk about this stuff a lot. You got to understand, I wanted to be a fucking astronaut when I was a kid, and I went to Purdue to study flight. I actually did the thing. I'm just a big person. Yeah, didn't he get a shoe thrown at him? But what happened was all these defense contractors got real rich real fast. And when you get real rich real fast, you want to stay real rich real fast, you got to stay in conflict. So what has happened, morning, what has happened is these defense contractors have tried to maintain their fucking profiles. They've all gone public, they're being publicly traded, they're worth billions and billions of dollars. Where are they going to get that money when the conflict's not there? And oh, by the way, conflict isn't there. The conflict hasn't been there. I want to point this out. I don't know that I've told you about this conversation, but I got to get it off my head. So I told you, guy I was on active duty with came to Indianapolis, and I went to see him the first night. I went and helped him check in at the hotel downtown, and we went up to the room, and he before he had a documentary he wanted to show me, but he wanted to have like a conversation first. And among the conversation was, how did you get introduced to magic? And he has a camera, a camcorder. And so he turned his camcorder on and he was like, "So who are you?" And so I'll just tell you, I said, my name is Jared Malat. He's like, how old are you? I said 41. And he said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. And he was like, how long have you been playing Magic the Gathering? And I said, the better part of 20 years. I said, okay. When did you get introduced to Magic the Gathering? When I was in fifth grade. And he said, you got introduced to it when you're in fifth grade. Doesn't necessarily line up. And I said, well, my dad actually was on his way home, presumably from cheating on my mother, and stopped at like a like a game store. And this game had just come out, Magic the Gathering, and they were on their like fourth or fifth edition. And he bought me Portal and Fifth Dawn. And one of my favorite cards of all time is Serum Visions. It's a one mana sorcery, scry two or draw card, scry two. It's actually a poor magic card. It's actually not a good card. But it was played in Storm, and so one of the things that made me want to play Magic when I got a little older was I got those cards. Somebody kept those Magic cards and gave them to me when I came home from the Marine Corps, which is part of the reason I got into it. Hey, Aaron, what you doing, babe? You come and see me? Look, hey, remember how I told you I got big old German? Come here, honey. Come here. Hi. What you doing? You coming to see me? What you doing, baby? Oh, hi, honey. Oh, hi, honey. How was you doing, Aaron? Anyway, so, um, my dad brought home Magic the Gathering cards, and that's Ernestine. That's a girl. Um, she she's a queen. She's an absolute peach. Yeah. Um, best German Shepherds. There's an like if we haven't already had that conversation, like German Shepherds are just incredible. She's a great dog. It's okay. It's okay. So, he bought me Magic cards, but he would never play. And my mom took me aside one day, and one of the things that I've learned as I got older is that I have compartmentalization syndrome, where like I don't remember shit at all. I've always had a bad short-term memory, like as long as I can remember. People have been like attacking me because they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? This just happened," and you're like, so, when I was a little kid, when my dad bought Magic cards, and I like he had to go buy me sleeves. He had to get me something to put the cards in, right? And so like I would be looking through the Magic cards, and I had built decks, and then like he actually bought me a considerable, I'd say like $500 to $1,000 worth of Magic cards, which is like a considerable amount of Magic cards, but had never sat down and played at all. Never, not even once, never even thought about it. And I asked. So those magic cards just went unused, and I ended up with like a couple boxes of magic cards from when I was a little kid. I sold them for thousands of dollars, by the way, so thanks a lot, old man. Um, but yeah, never played them, and I asked my mom like, why would the fuck would he buy me something and not play with me? And she said, you don't remember this, do you? And she said, when you were little, your dad was like, I'm gonna show him up in everything and humble him. And she's like, so he would be like, I'm gonna teach you to play baseball. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, so he teach you how to play baseball, and then it would become, can he strike you out? And you weren't necessarily like getting a hit, you're a little kid, but he'd end up having to try pretty hard for you to not make contact with the baseball, and it got him frustrated. Then he wanted to bat and have you throw the ball, and it wasn't entertaining until it got to the point where you could throw the ball hard enough that he might miss that, and then you'd be like a little kid, right? Now obviously whatever. I'm not talking about besting my old man. That's not the point. But my mom said that when it came to board games, your dad doesn't have any patience and he takes one of two paths. He plays really loose and fast and aggressive and stupid, or uh, he actively tries to cheat. So you don't want to play games with him. Like I remember my mom telling me, like, you don't want to play games with him. You think you do. Hmm. You don't want to play games with him. You know that he ultimately will not be happy that the game is competitive. If it's sloppy and unfair one way and he burns you out, oh, he'll want to keep playing. Oh, for sure. For sure. That sweet, sweet taste of victory. He wants that. But if he loses to you, oh, honey, he's pacing around the house wondering, like, is he plotting against me? And I'm like plotting to overthrow the king type shit. And she's like, exactly. Ever since you could tie your fucking shoes, he's been like, he's gonna kill me. Ultimately, I think I figured it out. When I was 29, my mom told me that my dad raped his little sister, and I figured out why my dad was so paranoid that I was a little smart as a kid. I started to figure it out as I got older. Why is he so paranoid about me? My dad was paranoid about me when I was a little kid. Why? Because he was cheating on my mom, because he'd done something fucking horrible and he was worried. I was, dude, think about that. I didn't find out that my dad did that to his little sister until I was 29. So I know why my dad doesn't never he never liked me. Oh yeah. My dad never liked me. My mom said from the moment you could fucking tie your shoes, it was like you weren't his kid. He pushed you as far away as he could get. Oh, it listens, it learns, it remembers shit. So if you wonder why, especially like as a young adult, so that 18 to 25, you have no questions why I rebel against my old man. Keep in mind 18 to 25, I don't know that he's a rapist, right? And then once you kind of turn that corner in life, that 25 to 29, you tend to, what ends to happening is you're stable on your own, or you got to move in with your parents, right? Fortunately, I only ever lived with my parents when I first came home for the Marine Corps, and it's because they asked me to stay with them, not because I needed a place to stay. Um, but anyway, so I was telling that guy that I was on active duty with, my dad got me into Magic and then would never play. And of course, he asked, how come that's wild? Why would he buy Magic cards for you and never play? And I was like, I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. I know why now. Um, but yeah. So I know exactly why he has no problem not having a relationship with me because he knows I know. It's only a matter of time before I'm like, I know something about you that explains everything about our relationship. It's your inability to take accountability for what you did is why we don't have a relationship. And that is fucking sad. That's fucking sad. Because I'm a good kid. You know what I mean? You gotta remember, I got two parents that are alive that I don't speak to. I've often said, um, my wife's family is a saving grace. Just having people you can be around that don't know you at all, right? That aren't gonna agitate you or bother you, right? It's like one of those things that the most people will be like, probably don't tell people that. That's just true. I mean, it's fact. It's not like I did something wrong. But yeah, my dad got me into Magic when I was a little kid. He bought me Magic cards in the mid '90s when it first came out, fourth or fifth edition. So let's look. When did Portal Fifth Dawn come out? Fifth edition, Fifth Dawn came out in 2004, May 1st, 97. Yeah, in the summer of 1997. Portal. hmm It was supposed to be like a beginner's version of Magic. Um, anyway, I never played Magic in school. The kids that played it were nerds that rejected people that weren't also hardcore nerds. I was a multi-sport athlete, right? Oh, you want to see the sign? First of all, boxes are great. I'd rather be playing PoE, but I'm out here because fuck these fascists. Remember where you were and what you do during this time. Stand up to racist, sexist, and authoritarian bullshit. Do not bend the knee, kiss the ring, or lick boots. Join a union. Well, like our friend John Lewis said, get in some good trouble, right? My wife, I went in and showed my wife, and she's like, no one's gonna know what PoE is. And I was just like, their servers were crashing last night. So, yeah, like a lot of people know what PoE is. And she's like, that's a lot of words. And that's a lot of words. Yeah, one of the things I would just advocate is to be aware of your surroundings. And there's one of the things that I want to point out that I've noticed. I don't know if you've caught this yet. You ever notice how there are issues when there are unplanned protests? I just want to point this out. Look at the last couple weeks. When were there issues? Oh, civil unrest, unplanned protest. There's a reason this whole time I've said, hey, if you're thinking about protesting, you might want to see who's organizing that. Have I not? I've said make sure that you're doing this the right way. You don't want to go to like some sporadic shit because somebody's going to get a mic in their hand and say, and fuck all the bears. And you're just like, oh shit, where am I? That's why. So I want to make sure, we pass on the good word when we're telling our friends, hey, be cognizant of your surroundings. Know that yes, I expect a I mean they're anticipating like an incredible amount of people. Um, I'm gonna go try to sneak into the state employee garage downtown, which is like across the street from the protest site, and aren't most people don't use that parking garage. Yeah. There's a reason that I tell people like, "Hey, look, people said, 'Oh, Americans won't protest every day. They're lazy.'" Well, kind of on the contrary. Here's the May Day movement. They've got protests every day. Mhm. Yeah, and something to understand about, oh, we have the first instance of a active duty service member arresting a civilian in an instance of civil unrest. Did you hear why he was did you hear why he was arrested? He was arrested for crossing a yellow line, like an investigatory line. He had headphones on and he was running to class and he just didn't hear, didn't see, wasn't paying attention. So he was let go. It was a mistake. He did cross an investigatory line. I don't know about y'all, but if I see yellow caution tape, I generally try to avoid that area. And he just jumped over it, like, haha, and kept running. Like, yeah, you're gonna get fucking taken down. And again, he was detained for 25 minutes. So what I want to point out is the person that did it is probably gonna get for their ass chewed. Now, he was only like detained for like less than a half hour. There's all kind of potential law breakage, but again, they're not going to do anything because he crossed an investigatory line. So it doesn't matter about the context. What actually happened is it was an army vet, like a 25-year-old kid on his way to class, running with headphones on. Didn't see the yellow tape as a avoid this area. Hmm. Ran through it, got taken down. Probably got sweet nothings whispered in his ear, like, I can't believe you're making me fucking do this, you idiot. You crossed a yellow fucking line, an investigatory line that a cordoned off area. But I don't think anybody loses rank. I don't think the kid sues. I think it's just a big misunderstanding. And again, I want to point out this is what chaos looks like. This is what poor leadership looks like. This is what not having a steady hand at the wheel looks like. This is what it looks like when someone is trying to destabilize what we've got going on here in the United States. Mhm. So I think again, I don't want to get caught in the trap of excusing the regime. I don't want you to see me as excusing the regime. But what I am pretty positive I'm correct about is that yeah, there is a measured approach to taking it all in, right? There's one thing to have realized. I don't know if you figured it out yet. It's mainstream media. They're not it. You have to find the news. You have to kind of realize like what is important. What's going on here? Well, what is important today is the No Kings protest. This June 14th, 2025. Today is a stern reminder. We the people said no kings. And gosh, I'm hoping everybody stays safe. No, knowing that uh, it should be a party and that they are going to. I mean, Donald Trump is paying people to show up for him today. Uh, and I don't know if you saw that video of that military parade, but it was looking pretty rough. Okay. The hosting organization is 5050.1. Yeah, no, I think it's fair to hear something and then ask someone else like what are we supposed to think about this? Here's the Reuters story about the detain and again, I always pat myself on the back for the use of sources. Hmm. Remember how Elon Musk is building like a city in Texas? Wonder if this has anything to do with it. 109 children rescued, 244 people arrested in Operation Soteria Shield, exposing widespread child exploitation in North Texas. Anyway, and this is sort of like the look at the modern politician. Longest serving legislative leader in U.S. history, given 7.5 years in a federal corruption case in Springfield, Illinois. This June 13th, this was yesterday. The stunning downward spiral of Michael Madigan's political career ended Friday with a 7.5 year prison sentence, and the dude is 83 years old, by the way. He also got a $2.5 million fine. He is the former Illinois House Speaker and the longest serving legislative leader in U.S. history. He was convicted of trading legislation for the enrichment of his friends and allies, which is a, again, I want to point this out. This is precedent. This is I know that there's a zillion things going on and it's really hard to see through it all. What did he what was he convicted for? Trading legislation for the enrichment of his friends. Okay, okay, okay. No, what it does is give precedent. There's an elected official, old man, doesn't matter. I'm looking around. Yes, I saw the kid in the army. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but when I read about the longest serving elected official in US history pled guilty for trading legislation for favors. Huh. Okay. Huh. Okay. Got a 7.5 year prison sentence, did he? Did he? Hmm. Interesting. Did you also see veterans? Hey, don't you feel good for sitting down talking with someone while we go through the headlines of the news and read some shit and then say, "Hey, I'm not a lawyer. Hey, the longest serving, so that means he's like an old man. Oh, Donald's old. One of the longest serving elected officials in US history. Donald served, he's a two-term president, right? Think. Got 7.5 years or whatever. Couple $1 million. Oh, they've never done someone like this. They've never treated a president or elected official like this. Just happened. June 13th. So now you have a very recent legal outcome, regardless, again, regardless of whether I'm right or not. So let's just keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck. Regardless of whether I'm right or not. I think the quiet is too loud. I don't know how to explain it. There is a lot of things that are not being said that are, it almost feels like they're being omitted. I just got a comment. Don't delete that. I just got a comment on Clapper from Skeletroll. By the way, I'm blown away with your screen name. Skeletroll is fucking 10 out of 10. That's a great fucking name. It says, remember, Subway Jared career ended the same way it started, trying to get into smaller pants. I don't know what UWMA means. What does that mean? Western Mass? Until we meet again. Sorry. I'm not up on all of the lingo. It's not like you could say Yuma. So, yes. Like, think about this. Here we are, fucking June, right? Where's the results of Executive Order 13848? Where's Donnie canceling that? Oh, by the way, oh, by the way, Donald Trump just yesterday in the Oval Office is talking about Russia, and he sounds like he's fucking batshit, talking about how Russia was our friend and all this shit. I just want to make sure we point out, I just want to make sure we point out, last night he signed a $1 billion package to arm Ukraine. So again, I just want to make sure that I point this out. I just want to make sure that we point this out, that we haven't talked about the politicians are starting to crack. They're starting to Tim Walz even talking about the legitimacy of this election. Um, you'll notice none of the people in the media are sitting down with an elected official and saying, "Are you aware of Executive Order 13848? Are you aware of the prosecution of election crimes document? Are you aware of the Justice Manual Title 9, right? Is it 88-850 and 853 or 855? Anyway, I'm probably 535, 805-535. Anyway, we went through all of this legal documents on this show together, and we named the show Justice's Waiting Room because we knew shit is fucked. And why aren't they saying anything? And what did we come back with? They've got to be doing this with harm reduction as the goal. If we move too fast on this, Donnie freaks the fuck out. Hey man, this ain't no bueno. I think, and again, I know it don't fucking matter. Yeah. Angie said some people are so worried about this weekend this shit's gonna escalate and he'll be able to do whatever he wants with martial law. Yeah. The 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 good news is that this is not a single city protest and that there's thousands of protests and it's basically impossible to manage. So there's no sense in sending out your police force when they're woefully outnumbered. There's no sense in even trotting them out. You know what I mean? Businesses aren't going to close. And here's what I think. If businesses are going to close their doors, fine. The police can stand in front of them doors. Okay. So I think it should go off without a hitch because Donald Trump's parade's going to be. I hear it's. I hear there's going to be crazy weather in the DC area and that they're going to cancel his shit. Either that or they're not all them units are going to show up. Yeah. So yeah, he's going to G7. So that's why I think nothing's going to happen today cuz he's predisposed. There's rumors that they're trying to buy uh people to show up and cheer for Donald Trump, paying $1,000 if you want to know how cheaply people's dignity can be bought. Apparently, it's $23,000 a year or $1,000. So think about all those people that are conducting ICE raids. 23,000. They don't have a warrant. They're operating under the under the guise of the president ordered this. And I just want to make sure you understand that they work for Palantir, is who funds ICE, which is a private corporation whose stock, by the way, is doing incredible. Feels like shit's gonna go down and it'll be a snowball. Yeah. I mean, there should be there should be. Uh, the warmongers are warmongering. Iran pulls out of nuclear talks with the U.S. Iran's supreme leaders arrive. Trump says the U.S. was aware that Israel was gonna strike Iran. Here's Germany's defense chief pledging $10 billion to help Ukraine, Slava Ukraine. Oh, by the way, free Palestine. Iran threatens strikes on US, UK, and France bases in region if they prevent attacks on Israel. So, yeah, I mean, World War III, baby. Stocks slump, oil prices surge. I am become death, destroyer of worlds. Those are the words of the person that invented the nuclear bomb. J. Robert J. Robert Oppenheimer, after witnessing the first nuclear explosion on Trinity test, July 16, 1945. Quote reflects Oppenheimer's realization of the bomb's devastating power and the potential for global destruction. The quote is from the Bhagavad Gita, part of the larger Hindu scripture, the Mahabharata. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, disguised as a powerful cosmic being, reveals his divine nature to the warrior prince Arjuna. He uses this quote to emphasize the destructive power of time and the importance of fulfilling one's duty, even if it involves violence. And where did that lead us? To the nuclear bomb. Mhm. Yeah, Iran's supreme leader. Yeah, they're alive. Uh, Anti-war protesters broke the barricades to protest Trump's military parade. I want to point out, by the way, it is the Army's 250th birthday. So even though every fuck up I know is an Army veteran, shout out to the fucking Army celebrating their 250th birthday today. Uh, what's going on with Donald Trump's not a celebration of the Army's 250th birthday. Mhm. I want to make sure, uh, yeah. You know, there's a reason that I'm able to sit here and talk about the perils of utilizing violence. When I was on active duty, we had to take Marine Corps martial arts. They called it McMap, and it's a joke within the Marine Corps that they had to give an acronym to teaching you how to fight. And it was kind of a pain in the ass. If you'd ever taken martial arts or been to a boxing class or wrestled, McMap is it's impossible to practice at full speed because Marine Corps martial arts uses the most lethal forms and techniques possible. And then you can only ever really like practice that. You can't really ever do that full speed. And so what happens is people are not going full speed and it pisses people off that they don't want to see Marines like play fighting and not giving it to each other. Not fighting, you know? And this gunny took us out into the woods and he said we're having a problem getting you to connect. And it become just like second nature. And he got the biggest Marine, and he wasn't a big man, and he was a pretty good sized gunny. But he shook this. We had this big guy. I've talked about him before, Corporal Morgan, and he clapped. They clapped hands, and Morgan had huge paws. He's a big dude, like 6'5", 250, built like a brick shit house, ran a perfect PFT, and was just like a massive human. And he said, "I challenge you to a one-handed fight." He said, "We've been fighting. We get into close contact. We've lost knives fighting each other. We've lost, we have no rounds in our weapon. So we're holding our weapon with our offhand. You get one hand free, and we're gonna fight." Corporal Morgan in his head is like, "Why wouldn't I just put my rifle in two hands and just charge you and shit. And he's like, because you're in a combat situation, so you're looking to reload your weapon and use it. You got to keep a hand free because at some point you're gonna have to look down, reach down, grab. You have to clear this mag before you can insert it. So you got to do something about this guy. So you got to fight this dude with one hand. And again, Morgan's massive, way bigger than this gunny. And Corporal Morgan's like, hey, I'm not gonna go easy on you because I don't want to do this shit in the woods. I don't want to get hurt and shit. And he's like, all the more reason to win, so you don't get hurt, right, Morgan? And he's like, I want you to win. So win. Beat me in a fight, one handed. We don't actually have rifles in our hands. It's not that real of a situation, but you can only use one hand. And so what ends up happening is they get into a necktie situation. They're trying to like take each other down, but you just can't do it one handed. So they're not really like fighting. And so eventually what happens is the gunny just puts his hand out like they're gonna dance. And as soon as he does that, uh, the gunny grabs his hand, sits down as hard as he can, and rolls away from Morgan. And because of how hard he yanked on his wrist, Morgan goes flying. Big dude, too. Goes flying over the gunny's head and slams down on his back. Wind knocked out of him. And Gunny like does this backwards roll and then has a hold of his arm and he's threatening to pull his shoulder out of socket and he puts his boot on his fucking chin. And we're all just like, what the fuck? Morgan's way bigger, way stronger, way faster. What the fuck just happened? Morgan's like going like this too, like, damn, that hurt my fucking wrist. Like, what the fuck was that? And he was like, back in the day, the whole point of McMap was isolating a joint, like the wrist, and just putting all your weight on yanking as hard as you can on that motherfucker. And promise that if I'm holding onto your wrist one-handed and I lay on the ground and roll away from you as violently as I can, I better to sling you as far as I want to throw you. It's a physics problem. Like they were teaching that shit in like the 80s. So for the record, if you ever fist fight a fucking Marine and they were taught this shit correctly, when you're taught that little like go full speed or get fucking slung around like a rag doll because physics is real, right? It taught people to connect better and work harder in practice so that when it comes down to doing the damn thing, you're not getting over your heels and shit. And the thing about it was they videoed it and they showed that shit fast forward, backwards, fucking slow mo, just so you could see that you can see the gunny's brain is like a fucking calculator trying to figure out how am I gonna get this big motherfucker on his back, right? One handed, and there wasn't like you had to have your hand behind your head. You just couldn't use your hand, right? And so you're trying to like necktie each other and like trying to fight each other and underhook and use all traditional means of like engaging with somebody. But one-handed, you really can't do that. So like I said, when he reached his hand out and you thought there ain't no fucking way they're gonna lock hands, that dude's way bigger than you. He grabs a hold of your hand, it's over. And as soon as their hand touched, Gunny just boom sat on the floor. Wah! And you're like, holy shit! Morgan's big old dude just punk. You're like, and then of course he does a little backwards roll and he's got his arm in his hand. He's fucking give up, and he's like, yeah, what the fuck? So anyway, yeah. So a lot of people they complain about not ever getting to go full speed because it's not like everybody gets to go to the boxing gym and learn how to box. For example, what they'll do is they'll see somebody that's doing it the right way, and they'll take them aside and ask them, "Do you have any desire to like box? You got like sweet form and shit like that." But yeah, the way they teach McMap is um, they pad everything up, right? So when you're past someone's guard on top of them, just wailing on their head in practice, that's a dummy. That's not a person, you know? So you're never really fighting, right? And keep in mind, this was 20 years ago, tip of the spear, right? So that's one of the things that I was when I was talking with uh Burkhead when he was in Indy that I have felt is that imposter syndrome where I was in the Marine Corps Infantry. I was in 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company, the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. And I didn't go to Iraq or Afghanistan, and I'm not a combat veteran. I'm no fucking war hero. And and he said, because we were talking about Magic, and he asked, had you played Magic competitively? And I said, oh, I started playing Magic competitively in like 2008, but have had bouts of just not been able to afford to play over time, and that coupled with a lack of results, kind of make you not really want to play the game. But obviously, it's so near and dear to me, right? And he asked why I didn't ever think that I had any results playing Magic, and I said I hate to blame it on um, feeling like an imposter. And he just said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about because I was there for all of the shit that you missed, and none of us got a combat action ribbon, and even went to Iraq for like 7 months and nothing fucking happened. And I went on that whole fucking boat ride that she was on, and nothing fucking happened. And I got in the military after you, so I would have been in after you. So that means your whole time spent, and we were in the same fucking platoon. And he was like, so don't let that hold you back, right? Don't let what happened while you was on active duty hold you back. Like you're just as capable as anyone else, right? So when you have that conversation with someone, it was late at night, but when you have that conversation with someone, and then he shows me this documentary that he's made. And again, it's one thing to have a hobby in common with someone. It's another thing when that hobby saved my fucking life. And for him, I mean, he made a piece of art. It's fucking incredible. We text like every day about when we're gonna hang out. Um, but yeah, that kind of inspired me, And then I spent that whole weekend drafting Vintage Cube, which is like a powerful form of draft, which is a limited type of Magic the Gathering. It's my favorite way to fly. You can just draft all this broken shit combos that are banned, play banned cards and shit. It's fun. I know that doesn't necessarily that's not necessarily fun to you, right? But it gives you a good guidance on what the future is going to look like, what's going to happen in the future. Today is the No Kings protest. And remember, there's a lot of people out there that are like, I don't really want to protest 5051, you know where you can also find this protest? You can find it on events.poll-rev.com. So you can go to Mayday movement and by the way, join a union. How about workingamerica.org? Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a convoluted way to tell that story. I'm a terrible. But yeah, he sat me down and he put it on camera. Free chicken tacos for all protesters. I forgot to mention taco and also no kings. Aren't we boycotting Burger King? Isn't that one of the ones? But yeah, he sat me down and he asked me what got you into magic, and I told him the story that when I came home on active duty, when I came home from active duty, I had a bunch of money, and I'm pretty sure the Marine Corps thought I'm just gonna go home and drink myself to death. And my parents, fortunately, both of my parents made me live with them. My mom first, and then my dad, and so I was probably like 3, 4 months out of the military and hadn't had to pay rent yet and was told just to be a normal, do whatever the fuck you were gonna do. You've got money, go do whatever you were gonna do. Now, I came home in October, and again in November, I got an apartment uh, far away from either of them. Um, and if it hadn't been for Magic the Gathering, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I drink myself to death. There wasn't a lot going on. Kat said I just joined a union 2 days ago, decided to go back into healthcare. Hell yeah. Angie asked, how do you feel about those vets arrested at the Capitol? Get in good trouble. So, one of the things, remember, it's not about results, right? For the right, they have such poor leadership and have had such little success that arresting veterans who breached a fucking temporary fence to protest on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, this stupid military parade. Um, you're sort of immortalizing them, right? Zeke said he follows a veteran, Mr. Ballin, on YouTube, and one of my favorite stories he tells when soldiers went to a station in Afghanistan and had a supernatural experience after digging up some bones. But yeah, I told him, I played uh, states in 2008. I played competitively, never had any personal success. But my playtesting partner, Doug Bauer, let me show you this, by the way. So I talk about Magic all the time, and remember I'm a coach, right? Those who can't coach can't do teach, right? Uh, I'll figure it out. Hold on. It is. It's here. Look, 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 look. Oh, that's so crazy. So this is oh my gosh. This is 10 years ago, November. But yeah, my playtesting partner on the left in that video, Douglas Bauer, playing Luis Scott Vargas, one of my favorite people ever. One of my favorite Magic players ever. He's a content creator, um, Hall of Fame Magic player, and my playtesting partner beats him to go undefeated day one of a Grand Prix. And what makes it even sweeter is he actually beats LSV and Patrick Chapin, who literally wrote a fucking book about Magic the Gathering, um, in consecutive rounds to go undefeated day one of a Grand Prix. And I told Burkhead that that was kind of the highlight of my Magic career, was a guy that I met with couple times a week, went undefeated day one of a Grand Prix. Now, he didn't finish the fight. He ended up getting like 34th or something. But to my knowledge, that's the highest finish anyone I know that I was affiliated with ever had in a major event. And Burkhead was like, "Well, if you're capable of helping someone else uh, get to that level, you're capable of getting to that level." And so he gave me some gas, and then he told me keep track of your wins and keep track of your decks, playing Vintage Cube all weekend. And the rule of thumb is in Vintage Cube, if you can win 2 out of 3 matches, you're doing pretty good. Like every now and then you go undefeated, like pretty good. If you are consistently not able to win a game of Magic with drafting the most powerful cards in Magic, competitive Magic is going to be difficult for you because the power level is a lot lower, right? So the cards aren't as powerful. They're not going to help you, the bad Magic player, right? Yeah, it's a card game. Yeah, that's my it's my hobby of choice, my drug of choice, or whatever, as they say. But it actually it allows me to do what I need to do to help the American Socialist Party grow, and that is travel to blue cities in the United States. Um, so I was just talking to my buddy about what our next events are. So the end of this month, June 29th, is the next time I leave my house to go play Magic. Sunday. I don't have to work on Sundays. There's a standard tournament, but it's a 1 day event to win 10 grand. So that's worth. Um, at the show on the video, I was on the rail. So in that video that I sent, keep in mind that's from a decade ago. Isn't that crazy? But there's video proof. Isn't that crazy? Video proof. Doug Bauer. Um, many evenings, much to the chagrin of our girlfriends and now wife. My wife just scoffs at it. Like, am I surprised? No. Like, she's not a fan of it. But she's obsessed with Sims. Her drug of choice is just Sims. Wins the MTH tournament for his team's funds for the year, and they make it to playoff. Jay wins. Yeah. And I was thinking about how do I best build the American Socialist Party? And I think it's by putting yourself around like-minded individuals all over the United States, making yourself um reachable, having a hobby that you're legitimately interested in, um it lets people see like a human side of you. I'm a competitive person. I always will be, right? I'm just naturally born that way. My babysitter when I was in fifth grade, those goddamn German Baptists taught me how to play five hands, taught me how to play stud and Omaha high-low and five card draw, and they told me don't play cards with my dad 'cause he cheats and shit. Hmm. I just want to point out as rockets fall in Tehran and the U.S. intercepts Iranian missiles meant for Israel, ICE is deporting children. Oh, Magic the Gathering and Herb. Oh my God. That's one of the things about I learned about having PTSD is that marijuana exacerbates issues that people that have PTSD exhibit, things like compartmentalization syndrome or like having a bad short-term memory, often like associated with um, pot users. Also, a frequent complaint of people with PTSD is just not being able to remember. I do that shit all the time where I'll be telling a story and then I'm like, I just don't remember what was I talking about. But yeah, I want to come around, make sure um, while we still can, that I'm showing up in these cities for in a big event, and if I can bring people to Magic with my story about, like I said, when I came home for the Marine Corps, I was single, I had a hot little car, I had an apartment just on the outskirts of the city, was drinking and partying and having a good time, right? And I was never really like a go to that kind of club guy. I'm way more likely to be a people watcher and want to go sit somewhere with a big glass so I can look out at. And back then, when I came home, I was playing poker on the internet. That was what I was addicted to, was cashing out, right? So I used to go grab beers and just sit at a table and just people watch, just watch people just get pissed drunk, right? And like I've said, the night that magic came back into my life, I was on my way downtown to go get drunk and people watch. And it just so happened that there a massive gaggle of people crossed a four-lane divided highway in front of me in the middle of the night, and it was such a shocking sight, given where I was and how many I've turned right on 267 or off of 267 on a US 40 a thousand times, and to turn that corner and see all those people migrating across that road, like what the fuck are y'all doing? To the point where I turned my vehicle into where they were going. That's and it to be honest with you, not a shred of regret at all. I found a very inclusive community. One of the things about the Magic the Gathering community is that they are a small group of people. Okay. So if you are looking for a hobby or something to do with your time, energy, and money, Magic the Gathering is great. You can get into it for all kinds of reasons. I play competitively. That's what I'm a competitive person by nature. I blame my babysitter when I was a little kid for teaching me how to play poker. I blame when I went to Purdue University, one of the person that I was the best friends with, his name's Chris Lacey. He blew out his knee playing football at Purdue. Um, he realized his athletic career was over, and he read Doyle Brunson's Super System, and we taught ourselves how to play poker. For smart people, gambling and card playing is like a way out of poverty. For people like Chris, it was. People that make like $1,000+ an hour playing goddamn poker make you sick. He's just disgusting. So hey, I know shit has gone crazy, but there has never been a more justifiable time to protest, boycott, and strike. Yep. It's a lot. It's a lot. Last night it was almost too much. Almost had to cry one out. Fortunately I had to kind of stay, uh check yourself. Shit is fucked. Nothing you can really do. Uh I promise. There's nothing you can really do. Protest, boycott, and strike. Do not raise your fist. That's for fucking sure. Because again, hasn't happened yet, and again, that's what makes me feel like this regime is weak. Is that pew pews haven't been used yet, but it's only a matter of time for one of these fucking idiot ICE agents, one of these dumbass National Guardsmen, or one of these dumbass Marines puts real rounds in their guns and just gets anxious, and you can be under duress and make bad decisions, and people pay the price. And when that happens, we have now we have a problem, right? And I just don't think today is that. I think Donald Trump's got other shit going on in the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't think his parade's gonna go off like he thinks it does. But yeah, check out my sign. I'd rather be playing PoE, but I'm out here because fuck these fascists. And then it says, remember where you were and what you do during this time. Stand up to racists, sexists, and authoritarian bullshit. Do not bend the knee, kiss the ring, or lick boots. Join a union. I think that says a lot of the things that I want to say. Okay. So I think it's completely justified to be concerned. Mhm. One of the things that one of the things that you will catch me doing is leading with empathy and making sure to say like how you feel is valid. But that's one of the things that I think about. I started thinking about when I started coaching sports was, what do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? Bob says two Democratic lawmakers shot in Minnesota overnight by police impersonators. Yeah. Well, I mean, think about what ICE is. ICE operates primarily without a warrant. And a lot of times they get what's called an administrative warrant, which is a warrant they write. They don't have a judicial warrant from a judge 99% of the time. As I've said, they don't even have real rounds in their guns. They're kidnapping people and trafficking them. They separated a mother from her child. They picked up a pregnant woman. It might be time for the hammer. A lot of delusional people out there. The thing about it is that will spark this revolution is somebody standing their ground on their own land when ICE shows up and saying you don't have a warrant, you're not coming to my fucking house, and they try to pry in and come get your fucking dudes. Yep. And I gotta make myself be careful to not paint myself a victim and paint myself a target. Because your brain will tend to do that, and then you find yourself acting out violent fantasies, and it's madness. It's pure madness. Yep, yep. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be very disappointing. It's gonna be one of those "I told you so" moments, and we've talked about that, haven't we? About how I hate saying "fucking I told you so." Mostly because I'm anticipating harm on both sides, right? And one of the things you don't want to do is legitimize what they're doing by harming them, right? There's a reason that the word has been let them take you, uh, just don't say anything and they'll let you go, you know? But I think that's irresponsible. When if you don't look like me, if you're a person of color or a woman or trans, how do you not walk around with a hammer? How do you not walk around looking motherfuckers in the eyes and seeing if this is the one that I need to drop, to stay alive? And I'm just being realistic. I'm just calling a spade, saying this is what it really is. Because there's a lot of people that have already decided like I'm fighting. So stay safe. Again, I don't think today's the day. Mm-mm. No. I I actually I actually believe he'll never actually pull the trigger. He's a coward. He'll never actually legitimize ICE, right? Legitimizing ICE would be giving them live rounds. Legitimizing his influence over the National Guard, whose power has been returned to the state of California. Him arming them and using them would be the he's testing the boundary. That's what Vladimir Putin is telling him to do. But know that like the majority of people out here are on your side. That's the reason that the gun references are not very frequent for me. One, I'm a white boy. I don't frequently feel like I need one. But the more I think about it, it's like, again, I'm not real big on like pistols, mostly because they're not easy to fire for the untrained individual. It's takes a lot more practice to be a proficient pistol shooter than it does to be a proficient rifle shooter. Hard to explain. It's harder to shoot a pistol than really well than it is to shoot a rifle really well. Um, And again, the reason I don't want that to be a big proponent of the show and why I don't have one and I'm not brandishing firearms and shit like that is because I was in the Marine Corps infantry. I have seen what this shit does to people. That's what this really is. Like I've always said, I ain't no fucking war hero, but I know some. Them boys are fucked. Most of them ain't even here. Remember how I told you like heavy is the head that wears the crown? They ain't taking no $23,000 a year job with ICE. So I'm still a bad shooter in GTA 5, but I am just a casual player too, though. Yeah. I used to play GTA 5. I'm playing Path of Exile 3.6. They just had a new update drop. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Remember, we start this thing out with war, finish it with a little Eat the Rich. Okay. Appreciate y'all. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow. I'm actually might be streaming later on today. You never know. Might get bored. Taylor's going one way, I'm going the other. Loving an elevator. Yeah, yeah. Smartest thing, protesting, boycotting, and striking. Smartest things you could be doing.